Hello everyone and welcome to our class for the week. This week we're going to be learning about regular verbs in the past tense. My name is Jazmin Jones, and if you have any questions, my email is jones52008@gmail.com. Again, that's jones52008@gmail.com. As always, I like to put the helpful information in the PowerPoint for you to make sure you have it readily available for when you study. Remember, we're studying 30 minutes a day, every day, so we can be prepared for our midterm and final. Here's more information, our sentence structure when you are writing sentences. This is a warning about the online quiz. Everybody did fine for our first day of class, but I do want to let you know that the quiz opens at 2 p.m., which is the start time of our class, and it closes at 4 p.m. So if you try to take it after 4 p.m., that is not possible. So you will not be able to take it before 2 p.m., and you will not be able to take it after 4 p.m. With this in mind, please give yourself time for computer issues. I had a couple of students who had problems with their online quiz, but they emailed me immediately and I can reset the quiz for you. However, if you email me at 3:59, I can't reset the quiz because it's done at 4. So please make sure you give yourself time to finish the quiz, and if something's going wrong with your computer, to be able to reset. Last week, we learned about the present tense. So here is just a review of the spelling rules for present tense. Spelling rules only apply to the pronouns he, she, and it. Everybody else will use the base. So I, you, they, we use the base form of the verb, and he, she, it follow the spelling rules for regular present tense. Please remember that in the negative, all of the pronouns will use the base form. So in negative only, all of the pronouns will use the base form. Otherwise, you're going to use the base for I, you, they, we, and the spelling changes for he, she, and it. More review with the present tense. This is how we write our sentences in the affirmative, so a yes sentence. The negative, which is a no, please remember you have to use the helping verb do in a negative sentence. I do not like chocolate. And here's if you would ask a question. Okay, in order to help you with your midterm, I'm going to start including dialogues in the PowerPoint. I will also be uploading the answers to these dialogues in our Youngjin portal. So here, what you should do is, if you can, print this page out, print out this slide, and fill in the blank with the words in the answer bank. When you're finished, you can go to the document that I'm going to upload for you and check your work to make sure it's correct. So a dialogue, we have the pro-di, that means two. This is a conversation between two people. So there's person A and person B. If we are able to do a dialogue for your midterm, you will be able to choose. You can choose either A or B. I'm going to read this dialogue so you can hear what it sounds like. Again, print this out, complete the sentences, and then check your work with the document I will send you. For the purpose of this dialogue, I'm going to call person B Dave. So I am talking to Dave. Hi Dave, what did you do last weekend? Oh, I went to Busan and swam at Hyundai Beach. Nice. Was the weather good? Actually, it wasn't that great. It was too cold. However, we ate some sushi and drank some soju at a nice seafood restaurant. What about your friends, Hoon and Jaeyoon? Were they at the beach too? No, they weren't, but my brother was. What did you do? Nothing special. I stayed at home and studied for my English midterm. Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Now, it might be hard for you to tell the difference between A and B because I did not change my voice. If you get a chance to practice, maybe you can practice with a friend where one person is A, one person is B, and then you can switch. Okay. Ooh. Please listen and write the words that you hear. Accepted, accepted. Baked, baked. Closed, closed. Died, died. Enjoyed, enjoyed. Fixed, fixed. Guessed, guessed. Hunted, hunted. Invited, invited. Jumped, jumped. Knocked, knocked. Loved, loved. Matched, matched. Needed, needed. Organized, organized. Painted, painted. Reviewed, reviewed. Shopped, shopped. Turned, turned. Wanted, wanted. Okay, so we have our list of words here, and what do they all have in common? That is correct. They all share the ED ending. ED ending. The ED ending is what we use when we are talking in the past tense with regular verbs. So regular verbs in the past tense all use the ED ending. So today we're talking about the past simple test, and here is the chart with the spelling rules. Spelling rule number 1. Please add ED to verbs that end in a consonant. So for example, play, where Y is the consonant, she played, ED. Walk, the consonant is K, they walked, ED. If the verb already ends with an E, you just need to add the D. So for example, like becomes liked. You don't need to add ED, just a D. Move becomes moved. If you have words that end in Y, where the Y is a vowel instead of a consonant. So Y is a special letter. It can be used either as a vowel or a consonant. When you have it in a word that it is functioning as a vowel, you need to change the Y to an I and add ED. So take away the Y and add I-E-D. So worry becomes worried. Carry becomes carried. Add ED and double the consonant to verbs that end in a consonant and a vowel. So this rule needs a little more in-depth explanation. Let's use the word that they give us, plan. Plan has the vowel A and the consonant N. The A is a short A, making the A sound, plan. You want to keep that short A sound when you write the word in the past tense. In order to do that, you need to double the consonant, so your N, you now have 2 N's, and then add the ED. So plan becomes planned. If you did not double the N, so if you just wrote P-L-A-N-E-D, then that word would be planed, a long A. Again, the word is plan with a short A. In order to keep that short A, you need to double the consonant before you add the ED. So in the other word, stop, you need to double the P and then add ED, stopped. It is very important that you double, or else you will sometimes get either a nonsense word, which is not a real word, or you get a completely different word. So planed is a real word, but it's not the word we want. Stoped, so if you just did S-T-O-P-E-D, stoped is not a real word. Remember, if it ends in a vowel consonant, you need to double the consonant and then add ED. Some verbs are irregular. I have a chart for you in the PowerPoint that will show you some of the more common irregular verbs. So today we're focusing on the regular verbs, but you do have to be aware of the irregular verbs that you will come across in your reading. If you want to combine the past simple tense with the be verb, you will use was for am and is, so was is singular, or wasn't. So if you want to say positive, am or is was something. If you want to say negative, it's wasn't, was not. For the be verb are, you're going to use were, which is a plural. So are is a plural, were is a plural. Were for positive, affirmative, and weren't, were not for the negative. Please be careful, again, this is part of the irregular verbs. I went to the playground yesterday. I did go to the playground is not correct, and I did went to the playground is also not correct. The word they're using, the base, is go. So I go to the playground today. But the past tense of go is went. Go is one of the irregular verbs, so it's went. You don't use did, you use the irregular form. Okay, here's our chart. This chart will help you not just for today, but also for future classes and the class we already took. It's a nice review of the tenses. So we have the verbs here. The first category is simple present, which we learned last week. The category we're focusing on today is simple past with the ED ending in the regular verbs. And we will talk about future at a later time. Two starred words at the bottom, sleep and eat. Those are two more examples of irregular verbs. So sleep does not become sleeped, ed, it's slept. And eat does not become eated, it's ate. Here's the chart I told you about of useful irregular verbs list. These are some of the more common ones, like teach. Do is a very common one, so it's do, did, done. Eat is another common one, so it's eat, ate, eaten. Run is common, run, ran, and run. So the base and past tense are both run. Past partial, sorry, are both one. For go, very popular. Go, went, gone. Cut is interesting. It doesn't change in any of its tenses. Cut, cut, and cut. So please refer to this and just remember that most words will fall on the regular with ed ending, but a few will be irregular. Here is our first practice page. So we have three sections, A, B, and C. Section A, you have a word bank. You're going to find the correct word and change the spelling. So they gave you the base verb. You need to fill in the blank with the past tense of that verb. So they did number one for you. The verb is drop. He dropped, past tense, his pencil on the floor. Drop, they remember the spelling rule where you have to double the consonant before you add ed. Section B, you have another word bank of sorts. You're going to write was, were, did, or didn't in the blank. So for this one, you only have 4 choices. choices. There's only 4 options. It's going to be was, were, did, didn't for the sentence. So number 1, weren't you hungry this morning? They chose weren't. So it's was, were, did, didn't. If you say no, then it's going to be your no ending. It's still there. Okay, section C. You're going to do 2 things. Section C is a 2-step activity. Number 1, underline the be verb in each sentence. So we learned about the be verb in week 1. If you don't remember, go back to your week 1 PowerPoint. Number 2, you're going to write the sentence in the past tense. So they've given you sentences in present tense. You need to underline the be verb and then rewrite that sentence in the past tense. So for number 1, I am an English teacher. The be verb is am, which is underlined, and then they rewrote the sentence. I was an English teacher. So sentence 2 is in the past tense. If you would like the answers, just email me and I can send them to you. Please do try to do the work before you email for the answers though. So please complete the practice and then email for the answers. The more practice time you give yourself, the better. Past tense in use. We are going to end our class for today with another story. Remember what I said about your homework assignment? You should be spending 30 minutes, and these stories are a good way to practice. So read along with me, and then you can read it again by yourself. He went on a business trip. Jong-hoon recently went on a business trip with his company. He was happy because they traveled to St. Louis in the United States, and he visited the famous Gateway Arch. It was designed by Eero Saarinen and was built in the 1960s. Saarinen also designed the TWA Flight Center at JFK Airport in New York. Jong-hoon flew there after St. Louis for an architectural conference. He met lots of famous architects there and learned many new techniques. After coming back to Daegu, he plans to use these new techniques to become a better architect. Okay, when you have finished this PowerPoint and the videos, please take the online quiz. It's very important. I can see when you start the online quiz. So please do not start the quiz before you have read the PowerPoints. So I can check when you start your PowerPoints. If you start the PowerPoints at 2 p.m., you should not be starting your quiz at 2:01. Please videos and PowerPoints first and then start the quiz. Have a good day.